Ah, what a lovely control panel that is. It has got me through many jams through the years. Welcome. I am the Doctor, number 8. I thought I would explain my past to you and the whole background of the Doctor Who series. I first appeared in England on BBC in 1963 as William Hartnell. I cruised time and space until October 1966 when I turned into the second Doctor called Patrick Troughton. I survived for the rest of the 60s. Here I am with an old human friend, Lieutenant Lethbridge Stewart. In 1970, I changed again and added color to my movies. I had bushy white hair and was called John Pertwee. Here's my favorite car, Bessie. As the Doctor number 3, I survived until 1974. I regenerated again at this time. I looked years younger. I wore a long scarf and had curly brown hair. I was the most famous Doctor, lasting a whole 7 years as Doctor number 4. Here's one of my traveling companions named Leela, played by Louise Jameson. Previously, before her, I traveled with the most famous companion of the Doctor, Sarah Jane Smith, who traveled from 1972 to 1976. We faced many challenges together. Here we are seen in the mid-70s. And here's Sarah Jane in 1983 with the famous dog-like robot called K9. Finally, the 70s came to an end and I regenerated again. When I regenerate, my body and appearance changes and so does my personality a bit. At this time, I was traveling with Nyssa, played by Sarah Sutton, an Earthling, Tegan, played by Janet Fielding, and Adric, played by Matthew Waterhouse. In the movie Castrovalva, made in 1981, I turned into the 5th Doctor, as we will witness here. The 5th Doctor was played by Peter Davison. I faced my most interesting battles until 1984 when I would change again. At this time I was traveling with Turlo, played by Mark Strickson, and Perry Brown, an Earthling, played by Nicola Bryant. Turlo left just minutes before I changed. Perry would stay on with the Doctor for a couple of years, and she witnessed my regeneration into the 6th Doctor. I was quite ill at this time and dreamed of my past friends and enemies, including the Master. The Master was one of my biggest enemies who I had been battling against for almost 15 years. The Master was played by Anthony Ainley. Here's the Master just before he died. In 1984, I changed into Colin Baker, who would become the 6th Doctor. He would be the Doctor for the next 2 years. In 1987, I changed into the 7th Doctor, Sylvester McCoy. I traveled at the time with a red-headed Melanie, played by Bonnie Wangford. She left me in 1987, and so I decided to travel with Ace, played by Sophie Alfred. The 7th Doctor and Ace would continue into the 1990s. Now, I should tell you about my biggest enemies. We've already met the Master, who we see once again here. I also have faced the Cybermen and my biggest enemies here, the Daleks. I have been battling them right since 1963. Here is Davros, the creator of the Daleks. He lives inside a half-made shell of a Dalek. In 1983, many of my worst and best friends, travelers, and past confidants were captured together. Here is Captain Mike Yates and scientist Liz Shaw from the early 1970s. Here is Zoe and Jamie, who were featured in the late 60s with the Second Doctor. I had the luck of a chance to meet myself, and myself, and myself, during my 20th anniversary special in 1983. Some of my companions from different eras also got to meet, like Sarah Jane and Tegan. By the way, I travel in my TARDIS. That is my traveling spaceship, and it does look coincidentally like a police phone booth from the planet Earth. Here's my TARDIS taking off, more than once. There are about 140 Doctor Who movies featuring the 7 Doctors and 2 actual motion pictures. There is a Doctor Who magazine now running in its 11th year. It's monthly, by the way. A song called Doctor in the TARDIS by the Time Lords hit #1 in England a few years back. Doctor Who is the world's longest-running science fiction series and is now in its 28th year. I hope you can now understand the complex lineup of characters in the travels of the Doctor Who.